Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kirk here, sitting on my back porch. Um, and today we're going to look at SOL, 5D, the high cost of campaigns, and some of the negative effects of it costing so much money to run for office. Here we go. Let's keep it short and sweet. In America, the cost of political campaigns is extremely expensive. Okay. And it's getting more and more expensive each year. I want to bring up a chart to show you some things real quick. If you look at this chart from 1992 to 2012, the Senate, the House of Representatives, and the presidential races have exponentially, drastically gotten more expensive. In 1992, we're talking like for president, less than, looking at the chart, about $175, $200 million to run for president. Today, that number is past 1,100 million, which it would be equivalent to $101 billion to run for president in 2012. I'm sure in 2016, 2020, it's just getting more and more and more. So rising campaign costs, how do the candidates who are running for office and the political parties, how do they make this money? They require candidates to conduct extensive fundraising activities. That's why people get emails, knocks on the door, phone calls, and texts like, donate $5, donate $20, donate $100, be a VIP, donate $500. And they're getting people to donate money constantly. They hold fundraising events like dinners and rallies and speeches that you have to buy tickets to, and some of those could be very expensive. All of these things are called fundraising activities. The negative effect of high campaign costs includes limiting opportunities to run for public office. A little seventh grade social studies teacher like me is going to have a lot of difficulty running for office. I don't have that kind of money. I don't even know if people would give me that kind of money. But if you can't raise the money to run for office, as it says right here, you can't advertise. If you can't raise the money, you can't advertise. So these high campaign costs give an advantage to wealthy citizens. So the people who have money, the businesses and corporations and entities that have money, they're the ones that are able to donate to PACs, which we're going to learn about in a minute, giving an advantage to the rich as far as political campaigns and political power. The fourth, high campaign costs give issue-oriented special interest groups increased influence. The main reason for this is because these groups can get money donations from lots and lots of different people and then push it all to one candidate or one political party or one issue. Okay. Examples of a special interest group would be like the National Rifle Association, the NRA, which has to do with expanding gun rights and gun ownership. You have the National Education Association that obviously supports schools, students, and teachers. There are many, many others out there. There's ones that support religion. There's pro-choice ones, anti-abortion ones, pro-low taxes, there's just so many different ones. I can't really name them all. This is an extreme negative of the high cost of campaigns is the development of what are called political action committees. PACs are sort of like nonprofit organizations that can be created to collect money and advertise for a political candidate or a political campaign. The problem with PACs is they do not have to tell you where the money comes from, so no one knows who are the big donors putting millions and millions of dollars into political action committees. That takes away the political power of the little guys like me and like all of us who don't have millions of dollars to throw around. So what are some of the things that political action committees do? Okay, number one, they donate extremely large sums of money to their preferred candidate. If they support Republicans, they put that money towards Republican candidates. If they support Democrats, they put that money towards Democratic candidates. And there's a few PACs that'll give money to either party depending on if they support their issues. PACs also run television ads about their preferred candidate. Those are the advertisements we talked about, the political propaganda that tries to influence you to vote a certain way. They also will campaign for their preferred candidate. So PACs will campaign, run advertisements, and donate money to help them. I want you to note that PACs do not nominate and recruit candidates. It's up to the political party to do that. They just support them with money and advertising and things like this. If you go to our PowerPoint, you'll see right here I have the webpage for the National Association and the Vets for Freedom. Any of these special interest groups you can check out later on if you'd like. So let's talk about how can we solve these negative problems of the high cost of campaigns. So the high cost of getting elected changes campaigning for public office. What happens is money, the dollar signs become more important than the ideas. Those who can't raise money, they have to drop out. They need that money to be able to get their name out there, to advertise, and to get votes. When you look at political campaigns, they'll gauge how well they're doing on how much money they have a lot of times. So does this help the rich or does it help the poor? It definitely does not help the poor. The wealthy are going to have the advantage in a system like that, and that's the negative. So the rising campaign costs have led to efforts to reform campaign finance laws, in a sense, like write laws or have things struck down as far as through our court system. These are Supreme Court cases. Now, I want you to understand that limits do exist on the amount an individual can contribute to a political campaign or a candidate. As an American citizen, you can give $2,500 per election cycle, which is like every 12 months. That counts the primary election and the general election to any presidential candidate. I think it's different for senators and representatives, but just on the test, they would only ask you about the presidential candidate. Just know that you can only donate $2,500 a year, but through a PAC, which we just talked about, you can bypass that because you could donate $1 million to a PAC and then still donate $2,500 to the candidate as an individual. So that's going to bring us to mass media and lobby groups. These are more definitions and just understanding what they are. The media will play an important role in setting the public agenda. That's TV, radio, internet, books, magazines, newspapers, all of the stuff we talked about that puts some opinions out there. The media will inform policymakers and the public, the citizens, and they influence public policy by informing them. Media will focus the public attention on certain select issues, just like we were talking about during campaigns, like, for example, jobs, the economy, taxes, the war, a war. Right now, the big ones would be COVID-19, immigration reform, racial discrimination, coming out of the Black Lives Matter movement, which is all this stuff is going to end up being in the history books, not many years, like years from now, when you all grow up. If you have children and they're in school, they're going to be learning about these things. And the media will offer a forum, in which opposing viewpoints will be communicated. The media will hold government officials accountable. That's they like to point out when they lie, when they break the rules and the law. Media loves to call out our political candidates. Government officials will also use the media to communicate with the public. Again, that's TV, radio, internet, books, magazines, and newspapers. So the next and final thing I'd like to talk about is called a political lobbyist. These people get paid tons of money to try to influence politicians to write certain laws or support certain things who are in government. It doesn't matter if we're talking about the federal government, the state government, or Danville, our local government. Lobbying or lobbyists, they seek to influence our legislators, congressmen, and Senate members to introduce or vote for or against a bill. There are lobby groups for everything out there. Education, gun rights, immigration, abortion, anti-war, environmentalism, all that kind of stuff. So the big thing I want you to know, and they'll talk about this on the test, is that citizens, like just you and I, individuals, and political interest groups, what we just talked about, they all influence our public policy. And they do this by influencing our legislators and through those monetary donations. So how do interest groups influence our public policy? First, they identify issues, they make political contributions, and they lobby government officials. With these three things, they're able to try to influence certain laws to be written. They're not always successful, but it does help. There are businesses out there that pay tons of money to have people come in and do this. I guarantee you it even happens locally here in Danville, Virginia. All right, so how do individuals, citizens like you and I, influence public policy? Well, we can vote, we can support a political campaign or campaign ourselves, or maybe it could be one of you later on, you could seek office yourself, run for a Danville Public School Board, or run for the Danville City Council, or even work up to run as a congressman or a senator in the federal government. We can always express our opinions. We can do this through our own personal lobbying, demonstrating and protest. Think the Black Lives Matter movement or something like that. We can write letters or emails to our senators, our congressmen, our legislators, the president even, trying to tell them our opinion and why we think these things should change or not change. We could also join an interest group or work with a PAC, and that also can help influence public policy. Okay, so that ends my notes on the high cost of campaigns, the effects of mass media, and lobbyists and how lobbyists and individuals affect our laws and public policy. I hope this was informative. Your assignment today is to write a summary. So if you have any questions, just shoot me an email on Canvas or through the Danville Public Schools email address. Y'all take care.